In a shocking twist that has left royal watchers and Danes alike reeling, Prince Joachim of Denmark, now effectively living in exile, has stepped directly into the firestorm surrounding Queen Margrethe's unprecedented decision to strip his children of their royal titles. What began as a quiet royal restructuring has exploded into a bitter, emotional saga of power, pain, and pride, with implications that go far beyond the palace gates. The move, which many believed would be quietly accepted as part of a modernizing monarchy, instead exposed deep fractures within the Danish royal family and sparked a media frenzy that refuses to die down. From his residence far from Copenhagen, Prince Joachim's voice, once reserved and diplomatic, has grown increasingly firm, even angry, as he speaks out on behalf of his 4 children, who were abruptly informed they would no longer bear the titles of prince or princess. Count Nikolai, Count Felix, Count Henrik, and Countess Athena, all born into royal life, suddenly found their identities transformed overnight. For Joachim, it was not simply a change in protocol. It was a devastating personal blow, a decision that, in his words, was made, without consultation, without compassion, and without care. The emotional weight of this situation is palpable. Prince Joachim has never been one to stir controversy publicly, often appearing calm and composed even when navigating the royal periphery. Yet this time, the mask slipped. In an extraordinary interview, he spoke with candor and visible frustration, saying, "We are all very sad. It's never fun to see your children being mistreated like that." His wife, Princess Marie, echoed his sentiments, visibly holding back tears as she spoke of the confusion and heartbreak her children experienced. The decision, they say, came as a bombshell, delivered just days before it was made public. The palace's justification, modernization. Queen Margrethe's statement emphasized that the decision was meant to allow the children of Prince Joachim to shape their own lives without being limited by the special considerations and duties that come with royal status. Yet for many, including the affected family members, that explanation rang hollow. Critics argued that the move disproportionately affected Joachim's branch of the family, while Crown Prince Frederick's children retained their titles, reinforcing the long-standing perception of an internal royal hierarchy. Observers note that tensions between the Queen and her younger son have long simmered beneath the surface, but this act may have pushed them into the open. Some royal insiders suggest that Joachim has often felt sidelined, his role reduced to the background while his older brother prepares for kingship. Now living in Washington, D.C., after a stint in France, Joachim has carved out a quieter life, working as a defense attaché, yet he remains profoundly tied to the institution that raised him. This growing rift has not gone unnoticed by the Danish public. Once among the most beloved royal families in Europe for their unity and modesty, the Danes are now witnessing a spectacle more commonly associated with British or Spanish royals. The image of a fractured house, where one side is perceived to wield influence while the other is dismissed, threatens the very harmony Queen Margrethe has long sought to preserve. The Queen, revered for her intellect and artistic flair, is now facing criticism for her handling of the matter, with some calling it a cold and calculated betrayal of her own grandchildren. Despite the outcry, Queen Margrethe has stood firm. In an unusual follow-up statement, she acknowledged the pain her decision caused but maintained that it was the right course for the future of the monarchy. Her words, while measured, did little to soothe the raw emotions laid bare by Joachim's very public discontent. "I have made my decision as a queen, mother, and grandmother," she said, adding that she hoped time would heal the wounds. But time, it seems, has only deepened them. As Danish journalists and royal commentators dig deeper into the saga, more details have emerged about the internal palace dynamics. Some speculate that this was a long-planned move meant to align Denmark's monarchy with other streamlined European houses, such as Sweden and Norway. But others insist that the abruptness and lack of communication were indicative of a deeper personal divide, one that has now been laid bare in the public eye. Prince Joachim's supporters point to his consistent dedication to service, both in Denmark and abroad. He has taken on difficult roles with discipline and humility, never seeking the spotlight. That his children should be the ones to pay the price for internal restructuring is, in the eyes of many, deeply unfair. Meanwhile, comparisons with Crown Prince Frederick and Princess Mary's family have been inevitable. Their children remain royal highnesses, sparking debate over why Joachim's were excluded from the same protections and prestige. Behind the palace walls, the emotional toll has reportedly been immense. Joachim's children, particularly the older ones like Count Nikolai, have spoken out only cautiously, but their expressions of confusion and sorrow are telling. Nikolai, a successful model and university student, expressed that he was shocked and saddened by the decision, emphasizing that royal identity had always been a part of who he was. His younger siblings, though less vocal, have likewise struggled to understand the sudden change in their status. This royal fallout has even extended beyond Denmark's borders. In France, where Prince Joachim and Princess Marie previously lived, the decision sparked bewilderment among the press and public who had come to admire the Danish royals for their perceived unity. Now, in Washington, D.C., Joachim's diplomatic career continues under the shadow of family conflict, a personal storm that seems to follow him wherever he goes. Meanwhile, Queen Margrethe continues to carry out her royal duties with grace and determination, but the lingering scandal has cast a cloud over what was meant to be a smooth twilight of her reign. Denmark's longest-serving monarch, she had hoped to leave a legacy of strength and modernization. Instead, her twilight years are now entangled with controversy, marked by public division within her own family. For Prince Joachim, the decision remains a raw and unresolved wound. His interviews, while composed, reveal a father deeply hurt and disillusioned. His once quiet acceptance of the monarchy's structure has now given way to cautious defiance. He has not renounced his family, nor his duty, but he is no longer silent about the pain inflicted in the name of reform. In private, sources suggest that reconciliation efforts have been made, but they remain tentative, fragile, and uncertain. Queen Margrethe has reportedly invited the family for private discussions, but it remains unclear if trust can be rebuilt after such a public rupture. The question looms: can a family torn by institutional decisions ever truly return to what it once was? As the months have passed, Prince Joachim's presence in Denmark has grown increasingly rare. Though he returns occasionally for official functions, his life has become more rooted abroad, away from the palace that once shaped his every move. His children, now titled simply as Counts and Countess, continue to grow and mature in a world where their roles are uncertain, their futures unwritten. Yet the story is far from over. The Danish public remains deeply engaged, voicing support, criticism, and heartbreak in equal measure. Petitions have circulated, debates have raged in parliament and media alike, and the future of the Danish monarchy feels more uncertain than ever before. In the midst of it all stands Prince Joachim, a man caught between loyalty to his birthright and love for his children. His journey, marked by dignity and quiet endurance, has now become a symbol of something greater, a challenge to power, a demand for empathy, and a refusal to be erased from history without a voice. This isn't just a story of titles lost or royal reshuffling. It's a story of identity, of legacy, and of a family's fight to be heard within an institution built on silence. As Denmark watches with bated breath, the world waits to see whether this royal rift will mend, or become a permanent fracture in the House of Glucksburg. Will the Danish royal family ever truly reconcile, or has Queen Margrethe's decision permanently changed the course of her legacy and Prince Joachim's future? As this royal saga continues to unfold, the echoes of Queen Margrethe's decision to strip her grandchildren of their royal titles have reverberated far beyond the palatial walls of Amalienborg. What once seemed like a quiet move toward modernity has triggered not only a family rupture but a cultural reckoning in Denmark. The monarchy, an institution revered for its stability, unity, and dignity, now finds itself in unfamiliar territory, embroiled in a very public, emotional, and divisive family drama that has captured the world's attention. The psychological toll on Prince Joachim's family cannot be overstated. Those close to the family have reported sleepless nights, strained conversations, and endless attempts to shield the children from the media glare. While the titles were symbolic to some, to the children who grew up with them, they represented not just status, but a sense of belonging and identity. To be told, without warning, that this part of their identity was being removed, felt like a betrayal of trust, by their own grandmother, no less. Many Danes, long supportive of their royal family, have been left deeply uncomfortable by how this has played out. Polls indicate a noticeable dip in public confidence in the monarchy, not necessarily in the institution itself, but in how it handles its internal matters. There's a growing feeling among some citizens that the royals, especially Queen Margrethe, may be out of touch with the emotional realities of modern family life. Critics argue that a grandmother choosing to sever her grandchildren from the royal fold without proper explanation or personal dialogue sends a cold and bureaucratic message in an otherwise tight-knit Scandinavian culture. And yet, others rally to the Queen's defense, insisting that she has acted with the long-term interest of the monarchy in mind. These defenders point to the changing role of monarchies across Europe, many of which are streamlining their royal families to adapt to new societal expectations. They argue that the Queen's actions were not driven by malice or favoritism but by a desire to modernize, slim down, and protect the relevance of the institution for generations to come. But even among her supporters, there's acknowledgement that the execution of the decision could have been handled more gracefully. Prince Joachim has become a reluctant symbol in this cultural divide. For some, he's the wounded second son, long in the shadow of his elder brother, denied influence, and now stripped of dignity through his children. For others, he's a dignified public servant who has shown restraint and humility despite being pushed to the margins. His choice to speak out was not only a personal act of defiance but a public plea for fairness. His statements weren't angry tirades, they were reasoned, composed, and painfully honest. And that, more than anything, has earned him sympathy and admiration from people across the country and beyond. His wife, Princess Marie, has also emerged as a poignant figure in this story. Known for her quiet strength and grace, Marie has stood firmly by Joachim's side, offering the emotional ballast he needs as they navigate this upheaval. Her protectiveness of her children has been unmistakable, and she too has voiced her dismay with controlled but clear emotion. "This is about our children's future," she stated in one interview, "and every parent can understand how painful it is to watch your child be confused, hurt, and silenced." Her words resonated deeply with parents across Denmark who found themselves asking, "Could this happen to my family, if not in title, then in identity?" Even Prince Nikolai, at just 24 years old, has shown maturity beyond his years. Though he has chosen not to speak extensively about the situation, the few words he has offered reveal a young man who feels caught between worlds, one royal and ceremonial, the other modern and uncertain. The titles may be gone, but the emotional imprint of being born into a royal life cannot simply be erased. For Nikolai and his siblings, the future remains a complex path of reconciling public expectation with private identity. What makes this situation particularly heartbreaking is that it didn't need to play out this way. Had there been greater communication, deeper empathy, and more time given to transition, perhaps the entire episode would have passed with less acrimony. But as it stands, the damage, emotional, relational, and reputational, has already been done. The Danish monarchy, once a model of quiet consistency, now faces questions it's not used to answering, about fairness, transparency, and human compassion. Queen Margrethe's long and respected reign has been marked by creativity, resilience, and devotion to duty. But this episode risks becoming a footnote that redefines how her legacy is perceived. No longer just the beloved Queen of Denmark, she's now seen by some as the monarch who divided her family in her twilight years. And for a queen who has always prized harmony and symbolism, that contrast is stark. For Prince Joachim, the path forward remains unclear. He continues his diplomatic duties in Washington, D.C., representing Denmark with professionalism and honor. But behind that formal role lies the personal cost of estrangement from the royal house he once called home. Whether a reconciliation will take place in the months or years to come remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the debate surrounding Queen Margrethe's decision has ignited a deeper conversation about the monarchy's role in a rapidly changing world. Will the House of Glucksburg find unity again? Or has this bold royal reform forever redrawn the lines of Denmark's monarchy?